Hello, dear students. Today's session for a Master of Arts in Sustainability Science. Uh, Today, I'm discussing about MST 17, Block 1 for MASS Oil, PGDSS, students, IGNOU students. Um, I start with the Block 1 of the MST 17. That the topic name is land degradation, and this slide serves as a title page or an introduction to the topic of land degradation, which refers to the process where the value and health of land decline due to human activities or natural changes. The main topic in this PowerPoint presentation, just to give you an introduction of soil degradation on land loss, their fertility and quality over time. The main purpose of this block one is it act as a starting point to explore cause and the environmental impact of damaged ecosystem. Coming to the topic, that is the introduction to land degradation. And this point and this slide provides a foundational overview of land degradation, specifically contextualizing its impact and importance within the geography reality of India. The main point in this slide is definition of land degradation. What is land degradation? And it is defined as land degradation as an appreciable loss of land productivity. Essentially, it refers to the decline in the land's ability to support plant life, agriculture, or other ecosystem. This decline is categorized into two forms, that is qualitative use loss and quantitative loss. Quantitative loss means this involves physical loss of mass, such as soil erosion, where the actual topsoil is washed or blown away. And the second category is qualitative loss. Qualitative loss means this refers to a loss of quality where the land is still physically there, but its chemical or biological health is compromised. Example, nutrient depletion, salinization, or chemical contamination. And the next slide is major global causes or FAO. That means FAO means uh, that is Food and Agricultural Organization of United Nations. And this point outlines the major global causes of soil degradation, citing data from FAO, that is Food and Agricultural Organization of United Nations. The main point in this slide is first point is overgrazing, second deforestation, third agriculture, and the last one is industries. In the context of overgrazing, it is identified as the leading cause of soil degradation globally. What is overgrazing? When livestock such as cattle, sheep, goats graze on land for too long or without sufficient recovery period for the plants. The main impact of this overgrazing is it strips the land of vegetation, leaving the soil exposed. Constant trampling by hooves also compact the soil, reducing its ability to absorb water and leading to increased erosion by wind and rain. The second cause is deforestation. It is only 34.5 percentage, coming in as the second largest contributor. Deforestation significantly destabilizes ecosystem. What is deforestation? The large scale removal of forest for timber, fuel, or land clearing. The main impact of deforestation is trees act as a natural anchor for soil. The roots hold it in place and their canopy protects it from heavy rainfall. Without trees, the nutrient rich topsoil is quickly washed away, often leading to desertification. The third point is agriculture. It's about 28.1 percentage. While necessary for food production, certain farming practices are highly taxing on the earth. What is in the context of agriculture? It specifically refers to mismanagement in farming. such as excessive tilling, lack of crop rotation, and the over reliance on chemical fertilizers and pesticides. The main impact is these practices can lead to soil exhaustion. That means where the soil loses all its nutrients. Salinization means salt buildup and chemical contamination, making the land less fertile over time. And the last point is industries. That is only 1.2 percentage, though it accounts for the smallest percentage on this list. Industrial impact is often the most difficult to reverse. What is the main context in industries is pollution from manufacturing, mining activities, and improper waste management or waste disposal. The main impact of industries is industrial activities often introduce heavy metals and toxic chemicals into the soil, which can kill essential microorganisms and make the land unsafe for any biological use. That's all about these major global causes. Next slide is direct human pressure. And this slide outlines direct human pressure, which are the immediate human activities that leads to environmental degradation and habitat loss. The main point is in this slide is unsustainable fuel wood and fodder extraction. And this refers to the removal of wood for cooking or heating and the plant materials for livestock feed at the rate faster than nature can replenish it. The main impact when too many branches or young trees are removed, the forest canopy thins out. Soil erosion increases and the ecosystem ability to regenerate is severely weakened. And the second point is encroachment into forest land for agriculture. As human populations grow, there is a constant demand for more food, leading to people to expand farm into protected or wild forest areas. The main impact is this is a primary driver of habitat fragmentation. It destroys the homes of various species and reduces biodiversity by replacing complex forest ecosystem with monocultures. What is monoculture? Monoculture is the single crop farm. And the third is shifting cultivation. That means slash and burn. And this is a traditional farming method where patches of forest are burned into clear land and create nutrient rich ash for crops. After a few years, the soil loses its fertility and the farmer moves to a new patch. The main impact is while it can be sustainable in very small populations, modern pressures make it destructive. It leads to large scale deforestation and releases significant amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And the last point is indiscriminate use of agrochemicals. This involves the excessive or improper application of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides in farming. The main impact is these chemicals often wash away into nearby water bodies or by leaching, causing water pollution and harming non target species like bees, birds, and aquatic life. It can also degrade soil health over time by killing beneficial microorganisms. And the main point in this slide is that these four factors represent the tangible day-to-day human actions that put the most stress on natural landscapes, particularly in developing regions where the local communities rely heavily on forest resources for survival. And the next slide is indirect or underlying pressures. And this point outline the direct, indirect, or underlying pressures that drive environmental degradation and land use changes. Unlike direct pressures like logging or overgrazing, these are systemic issues that create a ripple effect, forcing communities into sustainable practices. The main point in this slide is rapid growth of human and livestock population, land shortage leading to small fragmented farm holdings, poverty and insecure land tenancy. And the first is the rapid growth of human and livestock population. As the number of people and animals in a specific area increases, the demand for natural resources grow exponentially. The main impact: more people require more land for housing, infrastructure, and food crops. The livestock impact is increased livestock numbers lead to overgrazing, which strips vegetation and compacts the soil, making it harder for the land to recover. The result is this population pressure often pushes communities into marginal or ecologically sensitive land, like steep hillsides or wetlands, that are not suited for intensive use. The second point is land shortage leading to small, fragmented farm holdings, poverty, and insecure land tenancy. When land is scarce, it is often divided among heirs or sold in small pieces, leading to fragmentation. The small scattered plots are harder to manage and often less productive. That is inefficiency. And farmers with very small plot may feel they cannot afford to leave land for fallow foresting or implement long-term soil conservation techniques, as they need to maximize immediate yield to survive due to the lack of conservation. The encroachment. What is encroachment? Because existing farms are too small to support a family, people may clear nearby forests to expand their acreage. And the third point is poverty and insecure land tenancy. Economic and legal instability are powerful drivers of land degradation. Uh, Poor households often lack the capital to invest in sustainable technologies such as irrigation or high quality fertilizers. They may prioritize short term survival. Example, cutting wood for fuel over long term environmental health. And in what is insecure tenancy? If a farmer does not own the land or lacks a long-term release, that is insecure tenure. They have little incentive to protect it. Why invest in planting trees or building terraces if the land might be taken away next year? This leads to extractive farming, taking everything from the soil without putting anything back. That's all about this slide. And next slide is types of soil erosion in India. And this point provides a snapshot of the major types of soil erosion currently impacting the landscape of India. It categorizes them primarily by their physical cause, such as water versus event, and mention the specific subtypes of water erosion. The major drivers of erosions, first one is water erosion, and it is the leading cause of topsoil loss across the country. It affects approximately 132 million hectares of land. The main mechanism is it occurs when heavy rainfall or runoff carriers away the nutrient-rich upper layer of soil, often leading to reduced agricultural productivity. And the second one is wind erosion. While less widespread than water erosion, it is highly localized and destructive. It is a dominant form of erosion in western India, particularly in the arid and semi-arid region of Rajasthan and Gujarat. It affects about 13 million hectares. Strong wind lift and transport loose dry soil particles, often leading to desertification. That's all about this types of soil erosion in India. And the next slide is impact of land degradation. It mainly outlined the major environmental and physical consequences of land degradation. Essentially, it describes what happens when the health and quality of land decline due to factors like deforestation, poor farming practices, or climate change. And the main point is loss of top fertile soil and organic matter. This refers to soil erosion. The topsoil is the most nutrient-rich layer of the earth where plants get their food. And when vegetation is removed, wind and water can easily wash away this upper layer. The impact is once the organic matter, that means decomposed plants and animal, is gone, the land becomes sterile make it nearly impossible to grow crops or support natural ecosystem. The second point is reduced water infiltration and groundwater recharge. That means infiltration is the process by which water on the ground surface enters the soil. Degraded soil often becomes compact or crusted, meaning rain cannot soak in. And because the water cannot penetrate the surface, it does not reach the underground aquifers. Like the natural water tanks we use for wells, this leads to dropping water tables and water scarcity. And the third point is increased frequency of flood and landslides. That means when the land can no longer absorb water or hold itself together, natural disasters become more common. What is flood? Since water cannot infiltrate the ground, as mentioned in the above, it stays on the surface as runoff. Large volume of runoff flow into rivers simultaneously, causing them to overflow. What is landslides? A plant and trees act as an anchor for hillsides. Without root system to hold the soil in place, heavy rain can turn the earth into mud, causing it to slide down slopes under its own weight. The land degradation creates a vicious cycle. It reduces our ability to produce food, depletes our drinking water supplies, and makes human settlements and much more vulnerable to natural disasters. That's all about this slide. And next is the scale of problems in India. And this point highlights the alarming extent of land degradation in India, specifically focusing on the total area affected land and the specific impact of salt related soil issues. The magnitude of land degradation, the first point is notes that approximately 187.8 million hectares of land in India is degraded. This represents 57% of India's total geographical area, meaning more than half of the country's land has lost its productive capacity to some degree. The main causes are, while not explicitly listed on the slide, degradation usually refers to soil erosion by wind or water, loss of organic matter, and chemical contamination. Next is salinity and sodicity issues. And this second point narrows down a specific chemical cause of degradation, salinity and sodicity, which affect 11 million hectares. That means salinity means high concentration of soluble salt like sodium chloride in the soil, which make it difficult for plant to absorb water. Sodicity means high level of sodium ion specifically, which destroys soil structures, making it hard and poorly aerated. The main root causes are the point attribute this primary to poor irrigation management. In many regions, over irrigation and lack of proper drainage cause the water table to rise. As this water evaporates, it leaves behind salt at the surface, a process known as salinization. That is a process. And next is the main topic is desertification. It's a critical environmental challenge where fertile land becomes increasingly arid, typically losing its bodies of water as well as vegetation and wildlife. It is important to note that desertification does not necessarily mean the expansion of existing deserts. Rather, it is the degradation of land in arid, semi-arid, and dry subhumid areas. The main causes of desertification is rarely caused by single factors, but rather a combination of human activity and climate variations. And removing trees and plants that bind the soil together without roots, the wind and rain wash away the fertile topsoil. And the second thing is causes are overgrazing. Third is unsustainable agriculture, and last one is climate change. And coming to the point, that is understanding desertification. That is the foundational look at desertification, a critical environmental issue rather than just becoming a desert. The slide frames it as a process of decline in specific types of ecosystem And what is desertification? Definition of desertification is it as the land degradation in dry lands. It is important to note that this is not about the natural expansion of existing desert. It's about one's productive land losing its biological or economical productivity. It affects three types of regions, that is arid, semi-arid, and dry subhumid. Arid means very dry regions with a little rainfall. Semi-arid region means with slightly more rain, often supporting grassland or shrubs. Dry subhumid means areas that are still prone to water scarcity but have more moisture than arid zone. And the second point is the root cause, human environment maladjustment. The second point highlights that desertification is not usually a poorly natural accident. It is a result of mismatch between human activity and the land's capacity. And the common example of this maladjustment include overgrazing, deforestation, and unsustainable agriculture. And in the context of overgrazing, keeping more livestock on a piece of land than the vegetation can support, deforestation, removing trees that hold the soil together and help retain moisture. Unsustainable agriculture means intensive farming that exhausts the soil nutrients or uses irrigation method that leads to soil salt buildup or salinization. The main summary of this concept is desertification means vulnerable environment plus human over explosion. And this point emphasizes that when we use dry land more intensely than their fragile ecosystem can handle, the land collapses, leading to permanent loss of fertility. That's all about this slide. And next slide is United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. That means UNCCD. And this point introduces the UNCCD, that means United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, which is a key international agreement focused on environmental protection and sustainable land management. And the main concept is it established post 1992 Rio Conference. The UNCCD, that means the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, was one of the three Rio conventions born out of the 1992 Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. The others being the conventions on climate change and biodiversity. It was officially adopted in 1994 and is the only legally binding international agreement that links environment and development to sustainable land management. The main core focus and mission is compacting land degradation. That is, the primary goal is to prevent the deterioration of land quality caused by human activities and climate variations. This includes addressing soil erosion, loss of vegetation, and the decline in the biological or economic productivity of the land. The second is addressing economic decline in dry lands. Dry lands refers to arid, semi-arid, and dry subhumid areas. These regions are extremely vulnerable to overexploitation and inappropriate land use. The UNCCD highlights that and land degradation is not just an environmental issue, it leads to poverty, food security, insecurity, and economic instability for the population living in these areas. The main key objective of UNCCD is land degradation neutrality, drought resiliences, bottom-up approach. Land degradation neutrality means aiming for a state where the amount and quality of land resources remain stable or increases. Drought resiliences means improving the capacity of local communities to anticipate and recover from severe drought cycles. Bottom-up approach means, unlike many international treaties, the UNCCD emphasizes the participation of local communities and NGO in the decision-making process to climate management land sustainability. Next is factors contributing to desertification, and this point outlines two primary drivers of desertification, which is the process by which fertile land become desert, typically as a result of drought, deforestation, or inappropriate agriculture. And the main factors are climate variations. Natural shift in climate pattern can significantly reduce the productivity of land. A prolonged period without sufficient rainfall prevent vegetation from regrowing. Without plant cover, the soil loses its ability to retain moisture and become susceptible to erosion. Rising global temperature increase evaporation rates, drying out the soil and make it more difficult for native flora to survive. The second is human activities, that means over exploitation of resources, which while climate provides the conditions, human behavior often accelerate the degradation of dry land ecosystem through the over exploitation of resources. That means deforestation, overgrazing, unsustainable agriculture, and poor irrigation. Deforestation means removing trees and shrubs for fuel or timber leaves the soil unprotected from wind and water erosion. Overgrazing means when livestock eat more vegetation than the land can naturally regenerate. The soil becomes compacted and barren. Unsustainable agriculture means intensive farming without proper irrigation or crop rotation depletes soil nutrients, eventually turning once arable land into dust. Poor irrigation means if not managed correctly, irrigation can lead to salinization, that means salt buildup, which poisons the soil and prevent plant growth. Next is the impact of livestock pressure. And this point highlights the environmental degradation caused by excessive animal farming in a specific area. It focuses on the gap between sustainable limit and current reality, specifically regarding livestock pressure. This point provides a startling comparison of animal population related to land size. 42 animals per hectare is the current density, and the sustainable threshold is 5 animals per hectare. And this indicates that the land is supporting over 8 times the number of animals it naturally should. When the population exceeds this carrying capacity, the ecosystem cannot regenerate fast enough to keep up with the demand of the livestock. The third is consequences of overgrazing. When too many animals graze on a limited piece of land, the two primary environmental issues are loss of vegetative cover, that is, removal of grass, shrub, and plants that protect the ground. The impact is without plant to hold the soil in place, the land become vulnerable to wind and water erosion. It also reduces biodiversity as native plant species are eaten before they can reproduce. And what is soil compaction? It is the physical compression of the soil by the constant weight and movement of animal hosts. The main impact is compacted soil loses its pore space, meaning air and water can no longer penetrate the ground. Water run off the surface instead of soaking in, leading to flooding and drought-like conditions of plants. Plant roots struggle to grow through hard packed earth, making it difficult for the landscape to recover even if the animals are removed. And this point argues that the current livestock density is unsustainable to prevent permanent land degradation, and the animal to land ratio need to be significantly reduced towards the identified threshold of 5 animals per hectare. Uh, Next is the industrial and mining impact. And this slide highlights how large-scale industrial and mining activities can severely damage the environment. It focuses on two specific types of degradation: water pollution and chemical, pollution from chemicals, and land degradation from physical excavation. And the main points in this concern is discharge of toxic effluents. Industries often use massive amount of water for processing materials. This water becomes contaminated with the chemicals and heavy metals become effluent. The main issue is when these toxic liquids are released into nearby rivers, lakes, or groundwater without proper treatment. they poison the water supply. The example, the slide cites a dyeing industry in Rajasthan. This is a well-known environmental case of India where textile hubs like Pali and Balotra discharge untreated colored dyes into river like Banti and Luni. This rendered the water unfit for drinking or agriculture and even turned the groundwater multicolored. Next is unplanned open cast mining. Open cast mining involves stripping away the top layer of the soil and rock to reach minerals buried near the surface. The main issue is when this is unplanned, companies often abandon the site once the minerals are extracted. They leave behind deep scars in the earth, huge piles of water debris or overburden, and destroy the vegetation. Because that fertile topsoil is removed and area is left hollowed out, the land can no longer support plant life or to be used for farming. It becomes wasteland, an area that is biologically unproductive and prone to severe erosion. Next, consequences of desertification, and this point outlined the significant environmental, ecological, and socio-economic impact of desertification, which is a process by which fertile land becomes desert, typically as a result of drought, deforestation, and inappropriate agriculture. The main consequences are loss of biodiversity and depletion of organic carbon. That means humus. And this point focuses on the degradation of soil's living qualities. As the land dries and vegetation disappears, the habitat for various plants, insects, and animals are destroyed. This leads to decline in species variety. Next is the depletion of humus, that is the organic carbon. Humus is the organic component of soil formed by the decomposition of leaves and other plant materials by soil microorganisms. Without plant to provide litter, the soil loses its organic carbon. This makes the soil less fertile and reduces its ability to hold water, creating a feedback loop where it becomes increasingly difficult for anything to grow. And the second point is reduction in freshwater availability. Desertification severely disrupt the local hydrological or water cycle. Without vegetation to help water soak into the ground, that is infiltration, rainwater often run off the surface rather than recharging underground aquifers. Bare exposed soil loses moisture to the atmosphere much faster than soil shaped by canopy of the plant. The remaining water sources often become more saline or salty or polluted by sediment because there are no plants to act as a natural filters. And third point is migration from rural to urban areas. This is the human or socio-economic result of the previous 2 points. Most rural communities depends directly on the land for survival through farming, livestock herding, or forestry. When the land become unproductive, these livelihoods vanish. The people are forced to leave their ancestral homes in search of survival. This leads to mass migration into cities, which can result in overcrowding in urban centers, increased pressure on city infrastructure like housing, sanitation, and jobs, potential social and political instability. Next is strategies to combat desertification. And this point outlines 3 key environmental and social strategies used to reverse land degradation and prevent the spread of arid conditions. And the process is known as combating desertification. And in this point, we have to discussing about the 2 points, that is integrated watershed management. That is, this approach treats a watershed, that means an area of land where all water drains into a single point as a complete unit. It focuses on the conservation of water, soil, and plant resources simultaneously. The building check dam to slow water runoff, counter trenching to encourage groundwater recharge, and protecting natural vegetation. The main goal is to ensure that water is captured and used efficiently within the local ecosystem, preventing the soil from drying out and blowing away. The second point is fixing soil through the reforestation and Sand dune stabilization. Desertification often occurs when protective vegetation is removed, leaving soil vulnerable to wind and water erosion. Planting trees creates a shelter belt or wind breaks. These reduce wind speed at the surface and help the soil retain moisture. This involves using mechanical barriers or planting specific grasses and shrubs that can grow in sand. The root system fix or bind the sand particles together, preventing dunes from migrating onto fertile agricultural land. The third point is sustainable community water management. The strategy emphasizes traditional and decentralized method of water harvesting, specifically highlighting successful model from dry regions like Rajasthan in India. Example, this likely refers to traditional structures such as johadas. Johads means small earthen check dam that capture rainwater and recharge groundwater. And the second is tankas is an underground storage tanks used to collect rainwater from rooftop or artificial catchments. And next is Khadins, a runoff farming system where water is harvested on farmland to moisten the soil for crops. The main significance is because these are community lead. They are often more culturally appropriate and easier to maintain than large scale industrial project. Next is opportunities in dryland. This slide you have is mainly mm, focuses on the opportunities in dryland, that is multiple use of drylands. Traditionally, drylands are often limited to nomadic herding or intensive irrigation. This point suggests diversifying land use to maximize economic value without over exploiting resources. What is ecotourism? Ecotourism is a leveraging the unique landscape, wildlife, and cultural heritage of dryland regions like desert or savannas to attract tourists. This generates revenue while incentivizing the conservation of the natural environment. Then, rain fed agriculture. This refers to farming that relies entirely on natural rainfall rather than artificial irrigation. In dry land, this involves using specialized techniques like water harvesting and planting drought resistant crops, example millet or sorghum, to maintain food security without draining limited groundwaters. Next is introduction to alternative livelihoods with a lower environmental impact. And this point focuses on shifting the local economy away from activities that cause land degradation like overgrazing or deforestation for charcoal towards more sustainable options. A low environmental impact is the goal is to find a job that don't wear out the land. Examples of such livelihood include beekeeping or apiculture, sustainable harvesting, and renewable energy. Uh, in apiculture or beekeeping requires very little water and support biodiversity through pollination. In the case of sustainable harvesting, collecting wild products like gum, resins, or medicinal plant. Renewable energy, utilizing the high solar radiations typical of dry land to host solar farms. These are all the main points in the part 1 of this session. Soon I will upload the part 2. Thank you.